Chip, are you still with me?
I'm right here.
Woohoo! Okay, we're recording now. I think we're in it to win it, as I like to say.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. So you're going to be up here in July. I believe you're going to be doing 2 appearances. One of them's going to be kind of a chit-chat about the good old days on July.
Yes.
July 19th. And you're going to be joined by some other, infamous women, I'd like to say, from that era. Jane Wiedemann,
so. Mm-hmm.
Pleasant Gehman.
Pleasant Gehman, yes, and Teresa, and I think Peter Case is up there, and maybe I can drag Peter Urban up on stage or some other people. We'll see who comes out to it. But that's going to be a lot of fun. That's the War Stories show.
Right.
And we did one down here in Los Angeles at the Roxy, and it was really terrific and a lot of fun. Kind of a strange thing to do, because especially when I did it at the Roxy. I mean, I used to come up to the Roxy, and when I was in high school, and in the mid '70s, early to mid '70s, and come up and see, Dr. Feelgood and Steve Harley and Cockney Rebel and bands like that, and if someone would have told me then, hey, when you're 60 years old, you're going to be up here on a panel, talking about the good old days.
Right.
I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't believe it. So, but there it was, and so that was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to doing it in San Francisco. Right
on, and that's going to be at the Swedish American Hall, which I've never seen a panel there before. I've seen performances, so that'll be interesting. And then, what part of town is that in? Do you know?
It's
kind of near Church and Market.
Oh, cool.
Kind of close to the Castro, but close enough to downtown. It's pretty easy to get to. It's right on Market Street. So
awesome.
Yeah, I'm sure you've been by it.
Yes, I'm sure I have. Probably was by it.
Yeah.
I was probably by it not too long ago. I just walked up and down Market Street about a month ago with my wife.
Nice.
Yeah. It came to time to do some writing. But and then we're playing Bottom of the Hill. Yes,
one of the infamous venues here, and it's also considered. You're doing it as a 40th anniversary for the Temple Beautiful, which is another venue from the good old days. Right.
That's right. Jeffrey Pond is putting this on. I think he might be doing a series of shows, and this is the first one.
Okay.
That was a terrific place to play, and pretty important in the as far as San Francisco punk rock is concerned.
Yeah.
It was one of the places that when the Mabuhay stranglehold was broken, that's one of the places where the bands kind of broke out to play, and boy, it sure was fun to play there.
It was an actual temple at some point?
Yeah, it was. I think it was a synagogue. It started out, and then it became Jim Jones's. Had a church. Yeah, he had a church there, and then between Jim Jones and when punk rock bands started playing, I'm not really sure what happened there, but but it was so much fun to play, and it was. It was a nice big stage and a big room, and everyone could wander around and beatbox and get into all sorts of mischief and everything. And it was always fun. I don't think I ever had a bad show there. So I'm looking forward. We're playing with No Alternative, and I believe some sort of punk rock.
There's Buzz Attack is also playing.
Yeah, that's it. So I think it's going to be terrific. So between the two events, it's they should give me the key to the city that weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
Chip Kinman returns.
There's a bunch of interesting things happening back to back. Okay, got to clear out my schedule. Got to get ready.
There you go. Well, you and everyone else.
Yes, you definitely want to get the word out. So how did it come about putting the shows together?
Well, putting the shows together, Jeffrey Pond came, he was in Los Angeles, and he came to a Ford Maddox Ford show that we were doing at at a mall of all places, and he came, and I had met him, of course, back in the day, but it was nice to see him again after all those years. And he had mentioned that he was putting something like that together, and that was before I had any idea that the Dils were going to be back together. And he asked if Ford Maddox Ford would be interested in coming up and playing, and of course I said yes. And then between that show and right now, my brother Tony, he passed away, and then we had the bright idea of putting the Dils back together, which was it was kind of odd. It came together by accident. Tony and I had spent 40, 41, 42 years of saying no, we're not going to do it. No Dils reunion, no Rank and File reunion, no Blackbird reunion, no Cowboy Nation reunion. We always moved forward. That's why we had all those bands, because we always moved forward.
Right.
We didn't keep going on the same thing, and we just simply weren't interested in that. And anyway, Ford Maddox Ford was offered a show, and we were unavailable to play it. In San Diego, we were unavailable to play it because our drummer was unavailable. So Giuliano, my son, who plays guitar in Ford Max Ford, he said, "Well, why don't we do it as the Dils?" He said, "I'll play drums," and the man doesn't play drums, and he said, "And I'll bring along Brian, my friend, to play bass." And I thought about it for a second. I said, you don't play drums. You guys are 21, 22 years old. What could go wrong? Let's do it. That's the best way to start a punk rock band. In fact, that's
right.
When we did start the Dils, our drummer, the one on I Hate the Rich, Buddy Haight, he'd only been playing drums for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, so we started rehearsing, and it just sounded terrific. It's before I accepted the gig, I said, well, let's get together and play and just make sure, I can't embarrass myself. So we got together, and it just sounded so good, and those two guys really brought the punk rock. So we've started playing, and shows have been sold out, and it's been tons of fun.
Sounds like something to look forward to this summer. Gosh, summer's right around the corner, too.
Yeah. No, actually, the San Francisco show, it'll be our return to San Francisco, and it's the last Dils show I have scheduled. We're going to do, this month we're doing punk rock bowling, and
fun.
Yeah, and then that same weekend we're playing with the Avengers down here at the Echo, a benefit for Jimmy Wilsey's son.
Nice.
Who was and then the show in San Francisco. Then after that, I'm not sure, how many more Dils shows we'll play. I don't know, because it's certainly not anything I want to drive into the ground. So it's not going to be a whole lot of opportunity to see this, and everyone should come out and see it, because it's really it's punk rock.
Absolutely. And do you feel like because it's kind of like the 40th anniversary for that, time period in general, do you feel like there's kind of a resurgence of that way of thinking, do it yourself, that kind of thing?
There appears to be. I'm like kind of astounded on how many bands there are, and how good a lot of them are. It's really something. I was in a store in San Francisco recently. It was called, what was it called? Leather and something, or I don't know. It was it's called something.
Of course.
Yes, of course. Yeah. And there's this record playing, and it was clearly some young, I don't know what you would call that. They weren't necessarily a punk rock band, but it was definitely, alternative. And these guys were trying to, they were just going, like, you could tell they were really reaching for something, and it was really good. I feel bad I didn't stop to ask who it was, but but I often hear, I'll walk into places and I'll often hear records of, clearly they're young bands on independent labels, and
right.
and it's just terrific. So I'm glad to see that ethic is just, it's part of our culture now. It's really neat. In fact, I'm right now in the process of setting up a recording studio in one of my spare bedrooms, because I'm going to make, I know, I got signed to a solo deal, so I decided to make an electronic album, which should be great because I don't play keyboards. I've never played a synthesizer in my life, so why not? I'll make an electronic album.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's and luckily the record company said, "Oh, great, make it as weird as you want." So, thank you. Thank you for saying that, because I will.
That's great. And how did that come about? Was that kind of something that you were working on?
Not really. Well, Ty Segall covered Class War, and had pretty good success with it. And so I went to his record company, in the Red Records, and I just to pick up a couple copies of the records and meet Larry Hardy, who runs the label, and that sort of thing. And I just mentioned to him that, hey, I want to put out a record. And he said, well, what are you interested in doing? And I said, well, I've been listening to a lot of Eno and Kraftwerk, and I think I want to make an electronic album. He said, "Great, I'm in. Make it as weird as you want. Here's a check."
That's like the ideal answer that every musician wants to hear.
I know. I just throw away going, oh yeah, okay, I can do this. So then, of course, I'm going, oh my gosh, what have I gotten myself into? But
right.
hey, but you know what? I got this. I was in Blackbird. I can make an electronic album.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's
and I think the fact that I really don't know how to play keyboards and I don't know how to play synthesizer, that'll probably work in my favor, because I don't know I don't know the rules. I don't know any of that stuff. So so here it comes. It's a very punk rock attitude, which brings you back to your question, a very punk rock attitude and do it yourself attitude. It's like, yeah, I can do it. Sure, why not? If Tangerine Dream could do it, I can do it. Hey.
Yeah, they've toured recently, didn't they? I think they were.
I think so. Yeah, I think they're around. I've actually it's funny because I've gone out and bought some classic electronic records just to see just to see what's gone on before. So I went out and got Switched on Bach and of course a whole bunch of Eno records, the first two Roxy Music albums and things like that, and Clockwork Orange soundtrack, this record called Electronic Music: The Beginning, and that's really my favorite record right now. Everything sounds like the Jetsons. It's really fun. It's kind of,
I love that.
Kind of, I know. Everything's going. So it's really kind of fun. It's like, well, that's what the Future sounded like in 1961. It's like, I know. So I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. I think it's going to be kind of a cross between the Velvet Underground and Kraftwerk. So what could go wrong?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The Velvet, one of probably my favorite band of all time. So.
Oh, sure. I mean, you always come back to them, right? You always do, and I just kind of can't get away from it's like a couple of the chord changes that I've lifted from the Velvets. I think I've used since 1977 in every band I've been in. So the heroin chord changes down. It's done. That's it.
I feel like the Velvets were kind of like the first unofficial punk rock band. I mean,
well, I'm glad you said unofficial, because I think you're probably right. With the attitude and the minimalism and all that kind of stuff. I mean, we could. It's funny these days. I was invited to a screening of that new punk rock documentary. and that I think I forget which TV network put it out, but it's the Iggy Pop one.
Oh yeah, I saw the first episode.
Yeah.
Good.
Well, yeah. And they're all kind of the same, and it all just depends on who you talk to. But and I enjoyed myself though, but people kind of fall all over themselves to say who the first punk rock band was. It MC5?
Right.
Was it Iggy? Was it Was it when of course it was the Ramones.
Yeah.
But like you said, the unofficial one, definitely Velvet Underground. Definitely. That's for sure. In fact, that was an interesting event because Johnny Rotten was on the panel. They had a panel discussion afterwards. And I was sitting right in front. It was
you were?
Johnny Rotten. Yeah, it was Johnny Rotten, Henry Rollins, Duff McKagan, Marky Ramone, and I had never met Johnny Rotten before. I'd never even seen him, and they I think it's kind of infamous. A lot of people know about it, but they tangled, and Johnny Rotten he talked through the whole thing, and I just thought it was incredible. It was like a Sex Pistols concert, and of course a lot of people were getting upset, like, "Oh, what other people talk?" And I was just thinking, "Fuck you! This is punk rock." I thought it was one of the greatest things I had ever seen. It was really, really something, and I was like, I'm so glad I was there.
That's amazing. I've been able to see. Unfortunately, I was too young to catch the Ramones, but I did get to see the Sex Pistols, and I used to love them, as a teenager. But as I got older, I came to appreciate a lot of the bands that came after, like The Slits, The Clash, Gang of Four. I feel like it was much more democratic, but I think in the beginning you just kind of had to put it out there and see what would happen. That DIY experimental thing. But musically, I think like the '79 era, like when you guys were around, that's when it was kind of more of a transitional period musically.
It was, and punk rock is really the last great, movement or expression as far as like, white rock and roll is concerned.
Right.
It was the last great thing that happened and really shaped everything that followed.
Yeah.
And and all these years later, I mean, it still is, and with this new resurgence, it's remarkable. It's remarkable the legs that it had. No one thought it did at the time. It would at the time. That's why most bands just released a single here and there, and never really thought about legacy or what's going to happen down the line or that sort of thing. It's like
no
because there's no future. Yeah, so why would we have thought that? And thank God that we did put out singles, because we left something behind, and that's turned out to be really as far as punk rock's concerned, it's turned out to be important. And I think we were helped by our attitude. The Dils, if anybody wanted to make a record, we'd always say, okay. No, we never questioned. We wouldn't go, well, what's the deal? How much money is it? How much, what's your distribution like? I mean, we would just say, okay, you can make the record. In fact, I think we only ever said no once. This fellow wanted to put out a live record, and we said, sure, yeah, go ahead and put it out. And we just always said, well, make sure you just pay our publishing. You don't have to give us any money up front, but if you sell any records, then give us some money. And we said, yeah, okay, we can put out the live record. He said, okay, well, I want you to sign this contract and do all this stuff. And we said, well, no, we're not going to sign the contract. It was just too long and too messy. And he said, no, we're not going to sign it, but you can go ahead and put out the record. And he said, well, I really going to need you to sign this contract. And we kept saying, no, we're not going to sign the contract. And then finally we said, look, we'll sign the contract if you give us $50,000. Just to shut him up, right?
Right.
And he and the guy freaked out. Oh, but you're the Dils. I thought you hate the rich. You won't take the rich. Well, look, you won't take yes for an answer.
Right.
You can put out the record. We're not going to sign on the contract. So bugger off. And I think that was the only time we ended up saying no after saying yes half a dozen times. Oh my gosh. But see, we put out one EP and 2 singles. Right. But I think there's like 3 albums out now or something like that, and a bunch of live stuff. And so it was a good thing. I love
great.
I still do.
Yeah. The 40th anniversary, and so we're going to be seeing you doing a panel with Jane Weedlin and some other infamous people from that era on July 19th.
That's right.
At the Swedish American Hall, and then we get to see you perform live at Bottom of the Hill on July 20th.
I can't wait.
It's amazing.
Everyone comes out, old and young. Bring your kids. I think it's an all-ages show, so bring your kids. You can get a show in Chinatown. In fact, it was the first show for a benefit for a Chinese elementary school. And they're all these 4, 5, 6-year-olds. They're plugged in, up front, just having, it's having a great time. I thought the volume would scare them, but they were so much fun.
Oh, that's great. Awesome. Yes. All right. Well, it was a pleasure to chat with you.
Likewise. I'll see you at the show.
Yes, I'll be there.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, I hope you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. And I'll say all the mothers out there. We'll see you in San Francisco. We'll see you guys in July.
See you in a couple of weeks.
Okay. Bye-bye now.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thank you.